we just continue to focus on the activities.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love that. Good job,
I
Michael.
also have an Thank you. I also have an upcoming listing in Coral Springs. That's a 5-bedroom, 2-bath home. So it's still off market, guys. If you have a buyer looking in the area, it's going to come onto the market here in the next week or so. If you want to beat the rush, it's a 5.2, no HOA, on the water for 425.
Cool. Who's got a buyer for Michael? Put your name and phone number in the chat so Michael can give you a call. Let's get this deal done. Double team it, double dip it within this group before it hits the market.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, Lisa, let's make that. Now I'm having a conversation with myself, Lisa. Let's make that a standard. Let's start doing that with all new listings. Bring them to this group, tell everybody about it, and let's double dip as many deals as we can within this group. Love that. Matter of fact, I'm not going to hope it happens. I'm not picking fun on you, Lisa. I'm not going to hope it happens. I'm going to make it happen.
It's going to happen.
There you go. Because we're going to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Good morning, John.
Valerie.
As of yesterday's closing, I met my 2020 goal of 200,000 GCI.
Yes.
Awesome.
And
I agree.
if you saw how the year started, you'd be like, woohoo!
Wow, good job.
There we go.
Thank you, James and John.
Sweet of you.
Woohoo!
And you did the work. James and I just have a TV show that you tune into every day and watch. You did the work. Yes, Elka, talk to me.
Great to have the leadership and guidance.
Sorry, I just jumped on. I think we're telling you something good, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, interesting call this week or late last week. Someone called me to ask that I come over and take a look at their property because they're considering selling their home. When I asked how she had heard of me, she said, well, so-and-so gave me your name. And I was grateful. I kept the appointment, went on the appointment. The interesting part is that so-and-so, I went on the listing appointment. I didn't get that listing. So I called her to thank her for dropping my name with one of her neighbors. And I asked her how her experience was with her agent. She recently sold. She said it was the worst experience ever. She talked about the agent, about the broker, she went on and on and on and on. I said, all right, so I really appreciate you dropping my name. While I didn't get to sell your house, I do appreciate you being an advocate for me in this neighborhood. Will you promise to keep my name in the event you hear of anyone? She said, absolutely, I will. And I said, and tell me, why didn't I get your listing? So this is my learning part, right? She said, well, when you told me what price we should list that, you said, I would never go over this much. She said, you were my first choice until you said that, and then you became my second choice. And that was, to me, I thought, wow, okay, so now I know what not to say, right? If you don't get a listing, you learn. You either don't get the listing or you learn. So I walked away with something new. And yeah, so the biggest thing for me, the biggest takeaway was, number one, I have an advocate there. Number two, I know what not to say now. I know that I need to reevaluate how I communicate, how I convey certain parts of that listing appointment to a seller.
Okay, so this is really good information. And if I have everybody's permission, we're going to dive deep into this conversation with Elka. Trust me, I've been up since 5 o'clock preparing for this call, and it took me until 8. That's why I was late for the call. So I've got 3 hours of preparation, and if we don't get to the material, we'll get to it tomorrow. So with your permission, I'm just going to dive deep with Elka in this conversation. Somebody say that's okay.
Yes.
That's
Done.
fabulous.
Done.
Go for it.
That's all I needed. I wasn't going to get a vote from 62 people. I just needed one. So Elka, I am you and you be the seller.
Sure.
I want you to role play this conversation with me, okay?
Okay,
Cool. And I'm here to help you. Is that okay?
absolutely,
All right, cool. And do I have permission to coach you?
absolutely.
Okay, even if you don't like what you hear, is that okay?
Of course.
Okay, cool. So Elka, based on the information that we've looked at today, based on the comparables that we've looked at of the properties that have sold in the last 6 months, based on the homes that are currently for sale that you would be competing against, and based on supply and demand, where do you see your home selling?
Around the 650 price point.
Cool. And that's the number she would have given you, right?
Right, and I forgot to mention that her property had expired
Uh-huh.
and it had been sitting at that price
Uh-huh.
for several months.
Cool. Off role play for just a moment. What was the price that you recommended?
I said no higher than 625.
Got it. Okay, so back to the role play. So the price you're seeing, Elka, is $650,000. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, good. So I'm looking at the same comparables you are, and the market's not saying 650. The market's actually giving us a different answer.
well, that really depends on how you look at things, John.
Okay, so quick question. On a scale of what, let's take price out of the conversation. And on a scale of 1 to 10, with everything else that we've talked about today. Now, guys, remember, we're sitting at a listing table. This is a listing conversation role play. Based on everything else we've talked about today, other than price, let's take that out of the equation for just a moment. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you don't like a thing I said, you can't wait for me to leave, and 10 being I'm the right agent for the job. Where are we?
I really like you. I think you know the neighborhood well. I'd say probably 9, close to 10, but we
Cool.
need to agree on a price.
Cool. And if I were willing to list your home for 650 right now, would you hire me?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. And can I share with you why that concerns me?
Please.
Yeah, you see, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. See, anybody could tell you a price that you want to hear just to get your listing, and that would be a win-lose. Can I explain?
Please do.
Cool. You see, if that agent were to list your home at $650,000 because that's the price you want, and they put your home on the market, they put a sign in your front yard, they're going to get calls from buyers that are looking for more information on your home, correct?
Right.
And they're going to use those calls. We would call them leads in the real estate business. They're going to use those leads in order to sell a home. Unfortunately, it's not going to be your home. So the real estate agent wins and you lose. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's not that doesn't sound ethical. After all, I'm hiring an agent to sell my home, not to get leads.
Yeah, okay. Well, so that wouldn't feel good, right?
No.
Yeah, of course. And you see, my concern for you is not that you're going to get less money than you want. My concern for you is that you might still be in your home 6 months from now. It didn't sell, and it could possibly be worth even less 6 months from now.
I feel strongly confident that the home is worth at least 650.
I can appreciate that. And just out of curiosity, what's your holding costs? I mean, what's your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, HOA fees? What does that run you every month?
Yeah, it's not low. I don't know off the top of my head, but I've got a mortgage, I've got a HELOC, and I've got obviously my other expenses that go along with it.
Yeah, so 5,000, does that sound reasonable?
Close to.
Sure. So 6 months from now, you've paid $30,000 not to sell your home.
Well, I still feel that somebody's going to sell it at 650.
Yeah, of course. And if it, just in case it doesn't, 6 months from now, you've paid $30,000 not to sell your home. So let me ask you a different question. If you knew your home was going to sell for $625, Would you rather sell it for 625 in the next 30 days or 6 months from now?
That's an interesting point. Yeah, well, yeah, because in the long run, I will be out 5,000, won't I?
Well, actually 30,000.
Right, but less than 25,000. So
There
yeah.
you go. So it's a $5,000 difference.
Yeah.
Now, that's assuming the market doesn't shift. What happens if the market shifts and 6 months from now, your home isn't worth 625 anymore? Now it's 610, 615. How would you feel about that? If interest rates go up by 1% or 2%, does that make your home more affordable or less affordable?
I get it. Yeah, less affordable.
Less affordable,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And if 6 months from now, there's more homes on the market than there are today, you have more competition.
Right.
And would
Yeah.
you rather sell your home when there's more competition or less competition?
Well, obviously with less competition, yeah.
Yeah, so I shared with you at the beginning, God, this is supposed to be painful, guys, and it's supposed to be uncomfortable. And Elka's supposed to be getting mad at me right now, and I'm okay with that. And at the beginning of our listing appointment today, at the beginning of the conversation, I shared with you that 3 things happen whenever I meet with a potential seller. Either number 1, they understand and appreciate the benefits that I have to offer and they hire me, which is awesome. The second thing that occasionally happens is they don't hire me and that's not so awesome. And the third thing that happens every so often is I may choose not to take the listing. Remember, we talked about that. And I shared with you that if I felt that a seller had a goal or an expectation that I cannot meet or exceed, I would rather turn the opportunity down today than let you down 6 months from now.
Right. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the market's saying 625, and I would rather turn this opportunity down today than let you down 6 months from now. So if 650 is the price that you feel you have to have, then this would be one of those situations where I turn the opportunity down.
And that's pretty much what I said.
Okay, so Elka,
Yeah,
what do you want? We're still role playing. So
Okay.
based on all of that, what do you want to do?
Okay, I think you know the market. I think you're very knowledgeable, and it sounds to me like I may have to go with your approach, with your list price. I still have 2 other appointments, and I still want to meet with those 2 other agents.
So I can appreciate that. If you didn't have 2 more appointments, just a hypothetical question. If I was your last appointment,
Okay.
would you hire me today?
Based on what you're telling me, based on your knowledge, I think it would be in my best interest to hire you.
Yeah. So would you
I
hire
may
me
not
today?
like it, but
Would you hire me today? Uncomfortable, right? It's a role play and she's still uncomfortable.
yeah, I'm just torn, because I really feel that the house is worth this much, and you're telling me it's worth something less, and it sounds like you really know what you're talking about, and
I could appreciate
nobody's
that.
ever had to say to me what you're telling me, so I don't see how I have any other choice.
All right. So guys, now it's my job to help her help Elka feel better about this. Elka, tell me when you bought your home.
Bought my house. Why or when?
Yeah, when?
When? Maybe 1995.
Wow. So you've been in your house a long time. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is that you have considerable equity in your home then.
I have, a decent amount of equity. I had to take out a HELOC when my husband passed away. Things got really difficult, and now it's too much house for me.
Yeah. Okay, I can appreciate that. So let me ask the question a different way. Even at $625,000, are you selling your home for considerably more than what you purchased it for?
Well, sure. I've also invested a lot in upgrading the house.
Yeah, and there's 3 reasons that we make improvements in our home. Number 1, for personal enjoyment. Number 2, to make the house more sellable in a competitive market. And then the third reason is to increase the value of the home. But the
Right.
first reason is the most important reason, which is personal enjoyment. Now, have you enjoyed those improvements?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. So Elka, one last question for you. If you bought shares in a stock in 1995 at $100 a share, and today they were worth $300 a share, and you decided that you were going to sell them for $350 a share because that's what you think they're worth, are you going to find a buyer that would pay you $350 a share for that stock that the stock market says is worth $300 a share?
Probably not, John.
So probably not or not.
Most likely not.
So there's zero chance that you're going to find somebody that's going to pay you $350 a share. Would
I
you
get
agree
your
with
point.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think we should do?
Sell the house, John.
At what price?
$625.
Are you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Hey, John.
Are you, but first of all, let me check in on Elka. Elka, you okay? Do you still like me?
Of course I do. This is exactly what I needed. And I'll tell you, my biggest mistake was not diving deep. I stopped.
It's not a mistake. There's no right or wrong. And it's important that everybody hears this. I didn't do that to make you wrong. I did that to help you next time you have this opportunity.
Well, I certainly needed that. So thank you. And thank you everyone for letting him role play with me.
Cool.
John and Elka, I've got a couple of questions.
Yes.
Elka, do you know at what price the home sold for? I'm curious.
Yeah, this is the interesting part. It sold at $640.
Okay. And the other question that I had is, what was the supply and demand at that price point in that area? Was it less than 3 months?
Very much. We're at about 2.5 months worth of inventory in the neighborhood.
Now,
There you
John,
go.
we've spoken in the past about this, right? Where you may
right.
take a listing just slightly over list or over the price if it makes sense. What are your thoughts, John?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm so glad you brought this up because this changes the conversation, right?
Mhm.
Right.
There's somewhere on my YouTube channel, if you can find it, where we talk about supply and demand and how that affects pricing. So whenever a property has less than 30 days of inventory, you could price the property at 5% above the market value and it'll still sell. It's almost a guarantee.
Mhm.
So if the market value is $625, 5% of that is $35,000, right? There you go. That's why it sold for $640, by the way. Good job, Michael. And if we have inventory between 30 days and 60 days, we could price the property 1 to 2% above market value. And as long as there's nothing wrong with the home, as long as there's not a condition that would keep it from selling, it'll still sell. Now, when we're at 90 days of inventory plus, we need to be at market value. And as we get above 90 days, then we're going to start pricing the home below market value. The other extreme is when there's more than 6 months of inventory, when there's 36 homes for sale and there's 5 selling every 30 days, we need to price the property 2 to 3% below market value. So in that situation, if the market value, in our opinion, is $625, we're looking at pricing that property $599.
Hey, John.
Now, by the way, it may feel like we're giving the home away at $599, and the conversation then is you have to price where the market is going, not where it is. Price in front of the market in order to sell your home. And the bottom line is, if you sell your home for $599,000 today, and your home is worth $575 a year from now, did you give it away?
No.
No.
There you go.
John, how can we find that video?
I don't know.
Just go to YouTube and find and
Yeah,
search
just-
John.
Search
Yeah.
John on YouTube.
Channel,
Okay.
it comes up like the 4th or the 5th video if you type in John D.
Okay. Well, you know what? What you just said is worth $1 million to me.
Oh, good. My address is 3077 Northwest. I can really
Thank
use
you,
$1 million
Michael, for that
bucks.
question. Yeah, that was an awesome question. That's an epiphany, right? Because it really, it all goes hand in hand, supply and demand.
Thank you,
Yes.
Elka. I appreciate that. I mean, and I've been in the same shoes you've been in, where I wouldn't take an overpriced listing and I didn't take the time to think about what John just talked about. So it's so imperative that we look at that supply and demand.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. It's, by the way, it's your secret sauce because they don't teach this anywhere else. It's not mine. So I'm not saying, whoa, look at me. I stole it from somebody else.
And so, John, I was just going to ask, can you repeat that? The 90 days, if it's above 90 days, you go below. If it's 90 days, you price at the market. And if it's like 2 months, there was a percent.
Yeah, so the National Association of Realtors would tell you that anything below 3 months is a seller's market. 3 months to 6 months is stable, and anything over 6 months is a buyer's market. Now, my personal perspective on this is I don't believe in stable markets. The market is either moving in one direction or the other direction. So the way I look at this is 0 to 90 days is a seller's market. Anything over 90 days, buyer's market. Now, less than 30-day supply, there are 6 homes for sale between 600 and 650.
Mhm.
Less than 30-day supply, there are 6 homes for sale and 6 are selling every 30 days. You could price the property at 2-3% above market value and it'll still sell. Below 90 days, if there's more than 90 days of inventory, if there's 60 to 90 days, price at market value. If there's 90 days to 120 days, price at market value in order to get that property sold. Now, when it gets above 90 to 120 days, depending on location, depending on the type of property, then we're going to start looking at pricing the property below market value in order to price where the market is going. Because you've got to look at the market kind of like a bell curve, and prices are either coming up or they're flat or they're coming down. And if there's more than 6 months of inventory, then we're here, the market's going here. In order to get our home sold, we need to price here, not here. So what I'm going to look at, Paige, is a $600,000 home in more than 6 months of inventory. Chances are 6 months from now, that home is no longer going to be worth $600,000. It's going to be worth maybe $570,000. So if I want to get this property sold, I'm going to price at $580,000, maybe $585,000. But I'm going to price 1 to 2%, maybe as much as 3% below market value in order to get that property sold. This is the same strategy that we used with the Dietz team from 2008 until 2012 when the market was crashing. And I had conversations with sellers every single day who wanted to price their home at $500,000. And I was telling them $470,000. You want to sell your home? $470,000. I want $500,000. The market says it's $500,000. Zillow says it's worth $550,000. And I want $500,000, $470,000.
Hey, John, could you have said to Elka when she said, I think it's worth $650,000. You say, well, if you think it's worth $650,000 and the buyers also think it's worth $650,000, what do you think will happen if you price it at $625,000?
There's so many great scripts here, and that's one of them, Valerie. Yes, you could absolutely say that. You could also say, Elka, I agree with you. I think your home is absolutely beautiful. I totally get that you want $650,000 and you think it's worth $650,000. If I were going to buy your home, I may even pay $650,000. The challenge is you aren't buying your home and I'm not buying your home.
Why couldn't you do it at 650 and see what happens and then lower the price?
Chances are we're going to overtime here, guys. So I have to make that the last question. I love this conversation. And if you find my video, you'll know that I get out my white pad and I start drawing pictures. And this is that conversation. And what happens is the best time to get your home sold is the first 30 days. That's where you're getting the most activity. That's where the most people are looking at your home. And Lisa, the script, my concern with trying a price, remember guys, sellers go to script school too. And this is one of the scripts they learn.
Mhm.
Can't we at least try a price and then lower it later if we don't get our price? That's one of their scripts. One of the other scripts is, can a buyer just make an offer? Okay, so here's my concern. If we price your home at 450 and at 650, and in this situation, Michael proved that 650 would have worked, by the way. Elka, don't feel bad about that.
No, I get it. I get it.
Okay. If the market says 625 and we price your home at 650, because a buyer can always make an offer, right? Or we could always lower the price. Here's what typically happens. Somewhere around 90 days, Lisa, a seller comes back to me and they say, you know what, John, you were right. Go ahead and lower the price. So we lower the price to 625. Now, all of those people who were looking at your home, remember it's a bell curve, have fallen, that curve has fallen, and now fewer people are seeing your home. And 120 days out, a buyer comes along, loves your house, loves it. And the first question they're going to ask is, how long has it been on the market? And their agent's going to say 120 days. The next question they're going to ask is, what's wrong with it? Their agent's going to say, absolutely nothing. It's a great property. The next thing they're going to think is, can I get a deal? Now, they come in with an offer of 600. And is your negotiating position stronger at 30 days or stronger at 120 days as a seller?
30.
30
Yeah.
days. Now you're in a situation where you have to sell your home. You're more motivated to sell your home. And you end up taking $600,000 in 120 days on the market, or maybe you get them up just a little bit. You get them up to 610. And you sell your home for 610, 120 days on the market when you could have sold it for 625 in 30 days.
Mhm.
So you lost $15,000 trying to make an additional $25,000. Not only that, you have 4 months of holding cost at $5,000 a month. That's an additional $20,000 that you've lost. So you've lost $35,000 trying to make an additional $15,000. 25. You've lost $35,000 trying to make an additional $25,000. How do you feel about that? Guys, why do you think I ask, how do you feel about that so often? Logic makes us think,
Emotions
you
make
act.
makes us act. You got it.
And Lisa, I was so deterred by the 650 price because that house had sat for 650 at 650 for months when it expired.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
guys, time to get to work. Sarah, wherever you are, this is your chance. Jump in here and say it with me. Time to get to work. What is work? Work is 17 conversations, not 18 conversations, not 19 conversations, because when you settle for 17 conversations because it's close enough, you didn't have the 18th conversation, which could have been $1 million listing, and you don't even know that you didn't get it because you didn't make the call. Good job, Sarah. Every day, make pair calls, not sale calls. Start with gratitude, bring value to every single conversation. And in every conversation, focus on either getting an appointment, getting a referral, or adding somebody to your database. There's standards, there's not goals. And
Live up
find
to those
somebody
standards.
today that wants to buy a home, whether it's 30 days, 6 months from now, or a year from now, doesn't matter, because all
doesn't matter
leads are
because
good
it's
leads.
leads.
There is no such thing as a bad leads, just real estate agents who don't
Right.
follow up. And because you meet with 250 people, because you meet with one new person every single day, you have 250 people in your pipeline that you're following up with forever, because you reject rejection, and because no is not a word that lives in your vocabulary. You're creating emotional proximity, and you're giving them an opportunity to discover new information and make a new decision, which is to hire you. Make it a great day.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Awesome.
You.
My pleasure.
Thank you,
Thanks,
John.
John.